All right, today we're going to learn about benchmark percents. So if you could write this at the top of your next available page, make sure you're not skipping any pages. Today is the 26th, task 32, task 33, that's 33, AMDG. So first, as we've been practicing with percents a little bit, we're going to start off talking about taxes. Now, taxes you're learning about in social studies right now, and they do help pay for things like roads, streetlights, public utilities. And basically what happens is 10% of whatever you buy is then added to the total cost, and that 10% goes to the government. So the store gets the 100% of what you pay, whatever the price of the item is, but then 10% is tacked on to pay to the government. So draw a little percent bar, and I drew 10 boxes over. The full box is 100%. This is 0%. And then one box over, this is 10%, just to get a little visual of how much 10% is. Now, the quick way to calculate 10% is to just divide by 10. Because 10% of just means 1/10 of. All right?
Right.
So let's say we have a situation where something costs $30. So a store is going to charge you $30 for an item. Well, you got to figure out what is 10% of that $30. Well, 10% of the $30 is just a tenth of that. You just divide by 10 and basically move the decimal back once. So 10% of $30 is $3. So that tells me that I'm going to pay $30 to the store for the item, but then I have to pay an extra $3 that the store is then going to pay the government, so we can have roads and schools and all those public utilities. So what does that look like? The store says the item costs $30. Once you get to the counter, they're going to charge you an extra $3, which is 10%, and you actually pay $33 to the store. What if it was a $45 item? Well, if it's a $45 item, the same idea works. You're just going to have to pay more tax. It's still 10%, but 10% of a higher number is going to be more. Well, 10% of $45, again, all you got to do is just divide 45 by 10, which basically moved the decimal back. So 10% of 45 is 4.5. So how does that work then? So the store says the item costs $45. At the counter, they're going to charge you an extra $4.50 that will go to the government, not the store. So you actually have to pay $49.50 for that $45 item. Another way to think about these percent of problems is interest. If you ever heard of a credit cards can be very, very useful, but if you don't pay them back on time, they charge you something called interest. Credit cards can charge you up to 25% of whatever you bought with the credit card. That's a lot. That's this much of a chunk. Well, 25% of is pretty simple because it's just a fourth. 25% is a quarter of the entire. So to find 25% of something, you divide it by 4. So let's say you're at the store and you want to buy something that costs $400. Well, let's say you buy that $400 item and you buy it with a credit card. Well, let's say you don't pay them back on time. They're going to charge you 25% interest. So it costs $400, but then 25% of that is just 1/4 of that. So you divide 400 by 4, and that's $100. So how much do you actually wind up paying for that item? $400 is what the item costs. You have to pay the credit card company back for that. Plus, they're going to charge you $100 in interest for not paying them back right away. So that's going to be a total of $500. Let's look at another interest problem. So let's say you have an item that costs $1,200. So if it's $1,200, it's 25% of that $1,200. You divide by 4. So it's 1,200 divided by 4. Well, that's just 12 divided by 4, which is 3 and then 2 zeros. So 1,200 divided by 4 is $300. Well, how much are you going to wind up paying for that item? You're going to pay $1,200. You have to pay the credit card company back for that. plus you got to pay them 25% interest. Well, we just calculated 25% interest is $300. Because again, 25% is just a fourth divided by 4. Then your total winds up being $1,500. So $1,200 item becomes $1,500 because you have to add that $300 interest. And one more type of percent increase problem is something called a markup. If some of you are interested in opening your own businesses, sometimes what happens is you create something, or you buy something from a larger warehouse. Then you mark up that price. So, for example, if it cost you $1,000 to make something or to purchase something, you're not going to sell it for $1,000 because you don't make any money. You're going to do something called mark it up, and that's what all stores do. They mark up the price of what the original item was. And one common markup price is 50%. And this is what 50 looks like, right? There's the whole bar, and there's 50%. So 50% just means half of. So if you're taking 50% of something, you just take half of it. So let's say it costs $300. Let's say you are going to sell something that costs you $300 to make. Well, you're not going to sell it for $300 because then you won't make any profit. So you're going to mark it up by 50%. So the first thing you do is you divide it by 2, because that's the same thing as 50%. 50% is the same thing as dividing by 2 or multiplying by 1/2. So you're going to take the price of the item, divide it by 2, which is increasing it by 50%. And it turns out 300 divided by 2 is 150. You can do that. 3 divided by 2 is 1 with 2 left over. 1 left over. 2 goes into 10 5 times. And then 2 goes into 0 0 times. So $150. Or you might just know that half of 300 is 150. So how much are you going to sell that item for in your store? You're going to obviously sell it for at least $300 because that's how much it costs you to make it. Then you're going to mark it up $150 so that you're actually going to sell $450. So you make a nice profit on top of what it costs you to make it. And here's our last example for the day. A car, for example. Maybe it costs the car company $21,000 for all the parts and the labor and everything for the car. Well, they're not going to sell it for $21,000. They don't make any money. So they're going to mark it up by 50%. So 50% of 2,100 is just 2,100 divided by 2. 2 goes into 2 once. 2 goes into 1 0 times with 1 left over. 2 goes into 10 5 times. And then 2 goes into 0 and 0 0 times. So half of $21,000 is $10,500. Well, how much are you going to have to buy that car for or sell that car for? $21,000 is what the cost it went into making the car, plus another $10,500 that you're going to mark it up for profit. So the sticker price on the car is going to be $31,500. So that's how you use percent increase. These are called benchmark percents because they're common percents. 10% of means divide by 10. 25% of means divide by 4. And 50% of means divide by 2. Once you find that markup price, then you add it to the original price, and that's your total percent increase.